In this video, we will be comparing and contrasting some of the similarities and differences of the Roman Empire and the Han Dynasty of China. Han China lasted from the year 206 BC until the year 220 AD, which is roughly about 446 years. The Roman Empire lasted from 27 BC until 1453, with a break between the Eastern and Western Empire around the year 330. In this video, we will be focusing on the Western Roman Empire. During the Han Dynasty, the idea of Confucianism came to shape the Chinese society. Confucius is the founder of Confucianism, which has taught that family was central to the well-being of the state. As a result, Han officials promoted strong family ties, and the family grew in importance in Chinese society. In keeping with Confucian values, the father served as the head of the family and had total authority over the other family members. For example, the father can arrange their children's marriage and determine their sons' careers. Children, in return, were to obey parents, but also in turn were to obey parents and respect their elders. Confucianism stressed the idea of filial piety, or obedience and devotion to the parents and grandparents. Dutiful Chinese children not only obeyed their parents, but also served them and cared for them as they grew older. In addition, male family members are expected to honor dead parents and ancestors by making offerings to them at household shrines. Han officials thought that dutiful children made respectful and obedient subjects according to this view. Children who obeyed their father and respected his authority would likewise be the emperor and respect his authority. Some Chinese men even received government jobs because of the great respect that they showed to their parents. Women in Han China, on the other hand, had fewer privileges and less status than men. For example, women rarely received an education or owned properties. In addition, Chinese families value sons more than daughters. Sons carry on the family line and remain part of their parents' household after marriage. In contrast, daughters married and joined their husband's household. Once they are married, Chinese women were to expect to obey their husband and mother-in-law. Older women sometimes held power within the family because the Confucian ideal value of filial piety, which they said respect for elders and parents. In this case, some older widows even became head of families. In ancient Rome, it was a man's world. They dominated in politics, society, and family. They held the absolute power in all three categories. They even decided whether a baby would live or die. Families were dominated by men. The head of the Roman family was the oldest living male, called the patriarchal, or father of the family. He looked after the family's business affairs and property and could perform religious rites on their behalf. The patriarchal had absolute rule over his household and children. If they angered him, he had the legal right to disown his children, sell them into slavery, or even kill them. Only the patriarchal could own property. Whatever their age until their father died, his sons only received an allowance to manage their own households. Sons were important because Romans put a lot of value on continuing the family line, just like the Chinese. If a father had no sons, then he could adopt one, often a nephew, to make sure that the family line would not die out. Mater familias were usually the woman of the household. Roman women usually married in their early teenage years, while men waited until they were in their mid-20s. As a result, the mater familias were usually much younger than their husband. As was common in Roman society, while men had the formal power, women exerted influence behind the scenes. It was accepted that the mater familias was in charge of managing the household. In the upper classes, she was also expected to assist her husband's career by behaving with modesty, grace, and dignity. The influence of women only went so far. The paterfamilias had the right to decide whether to keep the newborn babies. After birth, the midwife placed babies on the ground. Only if the paterfamilias picked it up was the baby formally accepted into the family. If the decision went the other way, the baby was exposed deliberately abandoned outside. This usually happened to deformed babies, or even when the father did not think that the family could support another child. Babies were exposed in the specific places that were assumed that an abandoned baby will be picked up and taken to be a slave. As we can see, families in ancient China and ancient Rome are very same and similar, yet they're very different and unique in their own ways. The family of the Chinese focused more on filial piety and obeying their parents. while respecting their elders. The Romans, however, just respected the oldest male member of the family without questioning their authorities. But they were very similar in the way that the women had fewer rights than men. They could not own properties or hold public offices and were to manage the households. And the men were the head of the households. The male of the family decided what was the best for the family without anyone questioning their power. This is a difference and similarity between the Chinese and the Roman families.